the protagonist, one of the major protagonists, is a Taiwanese writer living in Beijing and having a good time. His routine is to visit a Starbucks nearby every afternoon. And so he's trying to write a novel about China. And he bumps into friends, long-lost friends, who seem to be living in the past and locked into a kind of different mindset. That's Fang Caodi. And that guy is obsessed with a missing month and said, 2 years ago, year 2011, things didn't happen as it is remembered now. A whole month has missed from our memory. Nobody seems to remember it. It's only 2 years ago. That's how it started.
Very good. Thank you very much for that. Why did you choose to make your main protagonist a Taiwanese?
It's a literary decision. I'm fairly familiar with expatriates, especially the expatriates in the writing community in Beijing, the Taiwanese, the Hong Kong guys. And I think it'd be good to have a sort of an outsider in Beijing to start to anchor us, and so we can follow him easier. And also, as I've just said, since I was not brought up in mainland China, I feel more comfortable depicting a Taiwanese or Hong Kong person. And I think it would feel more authentic if I do that. So it's more of a literary decision.
This idea of the missing month is interesting, especially in view of what you just said about how people in China are actually pretty happy with the way things are going. And I suppose what you're saying is that when people are having a good life, they're not prepared to look around for the anomalies that are happening.
Well, it's fictional, of course.
Yeah.
If you visit China now, probably you will have a sense of feeling, even now, that the Chinese seem to be happier than people in East London or something.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's the national character, maybe not, but they seem to be full of energy, and they seem to have many aspirations, at least, that things are changing. Maybe the fortune will be on their side. Many people, especially in the urban areas, will exude that this kind of feeling, even among themselves. But I think visitors could easily sense that too.
But I suppose implicit in your book is the idea that nations can't progress unless they know their own past, they acknowledge their own past.
Yes, unfortunately, I would think the Chinese state think otherwise. They would think if most people forget about certain part of the past, it's good for their rule. One way to do it is to come up with an orthodox memory of everything past. Especially the contemporary history of China, starting from the Opium War in the mid-19th century. Everything has to work to the benefit of the Communist Party saving China from foreign imperialist and capitalist exploitation, and then build up this wealthy and strong present-day China. Anything departing from that narrative are best forgotten. So maybe it helps to legitimize the present regime if people really forgot about it. We will still talk about Opium War very often, or the Japanese invasion, but we didn't talk about the Great Famine, which killed 4 million people in 3 years, 14 million people in 3 years. We didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about Cultural Revolution that much. We didn't talk about other atrocities, but we talk about the Opium War and the Japanese invasion. It's a selective memory and selective forgetting, as a matter of fact.
So people no longer remember about the Tiananmen Square?
I would think people still remember, especially those with some age. The young people may have very fuzzy idea of what the Tiananmen incident was. It was never mentioned in the textbooks or the media, so they may not know. As a matter of fact, many of my friends of my age, they deliberately try not to tell what happened to the kids for fear that they may get into trouble in school. So I have a friend who's a grandfather, and his son in the middle age especially warned the grandfather, don't ever talk about the past to your grandson. Otherwise, they will develop some kind of troubled character probably in school, and then they will be. I mean, it's not good for the kids. So the older generation probably still remember. How could they forget? But not the younger generations. They don't even know. It's not a matter of forgetting anymore.
You pose a very interesting question towards the end of the book, which is, which would you choose, a good hell or a fake paradise?
Yes, I was inspired by a writing by one of the greatest Chinese contemporary commentator called Lu Xun. He wrote an article on good hell. Of course, we know what hell is. Usually it's bad, right? But somehow it gets more tolerable. But still, in a good hell, you know you are in hell. So you have no illusion. You want to better yourself. You want change. But once you move on to a counterfeit paradise, over time you may not even know you are in a counterfeit paradise. And you find all kinds of justification that a counterfeit paradise is better than a good hell. In a way, it's all related to how China is governed at this moment. Of course, most people would prefer a counterfeit paradise to a good hell, I would think. That too. And one commentator linked this part of the novel to Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, where there's something about Jesus visiting the Spanish Grand Inquisition, and the Grand Inquisitor said, "Don't come back. Our people are very happy. Don't confuse them with your idea of justice and free will and things like that."
Is the book officially banned in China?
Since it's not really published,
yeah.
I have no way to know whether it's officially banned or not. The only hints are that on the Chinese eBay type website, there were many virtual shops that were selling Hong Kong and Taiwan hard copies for 6 months or so, and then these shops were all closed down because they're selling my book. So in a way, it tells somebody is trying to stem it out, but nobody ever tell me whether it's officially banned or not.
But apparently it's become very chic for hostesses to slip a copy into the goodie bag at the end of a party.
Well, there is one such occasion when a Beijing socialite throwing a party, somehow she managed to get hold some 200 copies of the book. I don't know how, but and he slipped it into the gift bag as a kind of rare gift to the guests.
Your characters in the book range over a wide selection of Chinese society. You've got somebody that Zhang Du, who was a former child slave laborer, to Hu Dongsheng, a high-ranking government official. So it tries to cover, I think, most of the social spectrum of Chinese people. I assume that you wanted to show people what the range was.
Right. You see, in 2009, I have the feeling that what I feel about China may not be shared by people outside of China. Even in Hong Kong and Taiwan, they may have a different perception of what China is. So one of the urge to write this book is to bridge that perception gap, and let my readers know what I think China has moved to. The signposts are different now. So I try to cast a wider net, as wide as possible, probably, as wide as literally possible, to be in one novel. So I have covered different sectors of the of the Chinese society.